big city, which is otherwise known as Royal Park. It's kind of nerve-wracking to come up here, right after all these great musicians have just come up. You probably saw me come up here without the guitar, and you either thought to yourself, oh, thank God he's not singing, or, boy, here we go. So, I know from looking at me, you wouldn't be able to tell that I'm technically an adult. Some people call my condition vertically challenged, others call it short and sweet. I call it short and salty. And that's because, most grown-ups, they leave the sweets up on the high shelf, whereas short guys can't reach them. And so I appreciate them bringing the mic down for me, because I wouldn't be able to reach it up there anyways. So the thing that kind of signaled adulthood for me was when I started going to my barber, and she started asking me very personal questions. Like, you got any fun plans this weekend? Well, nothing that involves me seeing friends or family, that's for sure. Because I'd see this haircut that you gave me that looks like I did it myself in a cave during an earthquake. But while I'm trying this whole new look thing, I might be hat shopping on Amazon. I think the only person that asks me as many personal questions as my barber is my dentist. And they usually wait until their hand is all the way down your throat before asking these questions, not realizing that I don't know Morse code. They'll be like, hey buddy, you been flossing twice a day? This guy is sponsored by Big Floss. Colgate right behind this chair. I really want to tell him that if this relationship's ever going to work out, we need to set more realistic expectations. Like, no, I only floss once a month, and I brought you flowers, and I wrote you a poem. It's about how you're so good at what you do. Well, the dentist giveth, and the dentist taketh away. He giveth me an irrational fear of the dentist, and he taketh away my wisdom teeth, and also all of my confidence in his competency. Because the last time I went to the dentist to get a tooth filled, he actually asked me, which tooth are we doing today? Isn't that your job? Maybe we should ask that question, before we take out the drill. Imagine if your pilot did that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We've reached our cruising altitude of 32,000 feet. Quick question, where are we going? I want to thank you again for choosing Spirit Airlines. Fasten those seatbelts.
So, because this guy has about as much knowledge of his career as I do, I thought it'd be a good idea to go back to get my wisdom teeth pulled by the same guy. So, it was going pretty swell. He shoots me up with Novocaine, and he kind of asks, are you numb yet? And I said, no, to which I thought his response would be, okay, let's wait a second. I didn't realize dentists were allowed to ask rhetorical questions. He starts pulling, and I'm in my medically induced headlock. Then he brings the construction equipment towards my face, and, it goes like this. But can you feel that? Okay. What was the question for then? Is that a preliminary customer satisfaction survey? I have 3 options in this case. I can left hook, uppercut, or I can scream at the top of my lungs. And I chose the third option because I like being able to eat and having a jaw and such. I didn't realize that when I opted to not be put under because it costs $1 million, that meant that we would just be raw dogging the surgery. He did at the end ask me if I was okay though, which is sort of like when the principal calls you down for detention and asks, do you know why I brought you in? He knows you know. He can see the tears. He just wants you to know who wears the pants in this relationship. My dentist, the thing about him is, I think he goes to a different dentist than I do, which is kind of unfair, because how are we supposed to have trust in our relationship if you don't even trust yourself? I thought eventually, as an adult, I would stop getting older, stop having birthdays, but they just keep coming.
Beats the alternative.
That's right. Yeah, clearly I'm getting older, so I'm getting forgetful, but yeah, so they just keep coming, and I always think that I'm about to reach the age where every compliment is going to be followed by "for your age." Like, you're very wise for your age. You look good for your age. You look so young to be in high school. I'm 20. But, when I was a kid, like a year ago, my favorite thing about my birthday was toys and cake. Now my favorite thing about my birthday is checking my inbox. Because I have 20 different emails from various fast food chains that are all giving me free desserts on my birthday. So I can go around on a joyride like the world's most depressed Uber Eats driver. It's just me, 6 milkshakes, asking myself where it all went wrong. And then, on my birthday, I always get a text from that one person that it's not really a friend, it's more an acquaintance or maybe even a Facebook friend, so not a real friend. But the chain is literally, happy birthday, thanks, happy birthday, and the texts are all like 6 months apart, so I shoot back a very thoughtful, thanks. Kind of our yearly check-in to each other that we're both still alive. I don't really need the reminder that it's my birthday, though. That's what Portillo's is for. I've been driving for like 5 years, which is like about half my life. So I like to think that I'm a pretty good driver for my age. I'm, a pretty safe driver, provided there are no witnesses. And I can count on one hand the amount of times I've used my horn. This one time, for example, there were these 2 drunk college kids in the middle of the street on my drive home, and I pulled up to them and honked my horn, and they looked at me kind of funny, almost as if to say, "Buddy, slow down. You're driving in the middle of my lane. You're gonna hurt someone." It's times like this that I really wish we had 2 horns in a car. One for that little nudge to say, like, get off your phone, light's not getting any greener. And the other for, I don't normally do this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right in this situation. And that would sound exactly like the sound that I made at my dentist. Some older generations will always say to me, like, they think Gen Z, my generation, is what's wrong with the world. And I'm pretty agreeable for my age. So, I agree with you. The problem is that people in my generation can't even understand what we're saying. Like, we use big words like gaslighting to mean you're lying, or little words like that's cap to mean you're lying. Or my favorite, not gonna lie, which is always followed by a lie. So I guess I'm trying to say that we have a lot of different ways to say you're lying, which is probably because our parents are liars. They tell us if we eat our greens, Santa will come on Christmas, or if we leave the tooth under the pillow, the tooth fairy will come eat it. Or, you're so talented, you should try stand-up. But, our parents are really trying to prepare us for adulthood, because all of us, one day, are going to meet a lying, good-for-nothing dentist who says, "Hold still, this won't hurt a bit."